Welcome back. This is episode 218 of the Veterinary Business video show. In this episode we'll learn about telehealth and a possible way ahead for veterinary practice, and we'll hear about the Veterinary Leadership Program. We'll learn that satisfying client expectations is simply not good enough. We'll hear why you should take notes by hand, and I'll offer you my quick business tip for this episode. I'm John Sheridan, and this is the video show from Veterinary Business. In episode 216 of the video show, we featured clips from Adam Little and some of the delegates of the Veterinary Innovation Symposium held in London last autumn. Following the same theme today, the video show includes a clip from the Veterinary Innovation Council, a non-profit association launched by the North American Veterinary Conference, now renamed as NAVC Spark. Telehealth is still relatively new to the veterinary industry. There are few rules and regulations in place, and in this clip, VIC's Executive Director discusses a possible way ahead for the profession with the NAVC Chief Executive, Tom Bone.
Hi everybody, I'm Kara Moore. In this week's Spotlight story, many pet owners are seeking care for their pets in more technology-driven ways, such as over the phone or via the internet. And for many veterinarians, it could become an important part of their practice. Banfield Pet Hospital's Senior Vice President of Marketing, Allison Hyatt, says telehealth can be especially important during a natural disaster.
We did have to use the technology during the hurricane, but it was actually really interesting to see all the different reasons why people used it. And one of the reasons is because of the shelters and needing to get into shelters, people needed to access their records, and we were able to do this over text in a lot of cases. So that was really helpful for people that couldn't actually get into our hospital due to a myriad of reasons, but they needed to actually access that information.
From accessing records to determining whether an animal needs to come into the clinic, Hyatt says telehealth should become an important part of any veterinary practice.
There's so many underserved pets that are out there, and if we are able to confirm that there is a need to actually go in and see your veterinarian, that would be many of the questions that we actually get. They're small questions that we can either answer right away or that confirm the need, no, you shouldn't wait and you need to go in.
Since telehealth is relatively new in the industry, there aren't a lot of rules and guidelines for it. And when there are, they vary from state to state. But the Veterinary Innovation Council, or VIC, has developed a set of guidelines regarding telehealth. VIC's Executive Director, Aaron Massacre, recently spoke with NAVC CEO Tom Bone at the Spark Studio about a path forward for the profession.
The basic thing is, if they've already established a VCPR with hands on the animal, they can do whatever they think is appropriate to do using telehealth and telemedicine tools. They can do whatever they want. The question becomes, how can you establish the VCPR? And currently, it's not the case that you can establish the VCPR with electronic means in the vast majority of states. So, our question is, can you actually establish it? Can you use the information that you get through digital means to establish a VCPR?
As states and veterinarians work to keep up with telemedicine and the changes in veterinary care, Massacre says lawmakers can often look to the human healthcare field for models when it comes to regulation. That includes making sure that there are laws in place that protect veterinarians and clients alike.
So we want to make sure that the client has recourse in case they use a telehealth service that is ineffective. We want to make sure that they have recourse to be able to say that it was ineffective and to seek compensation if necessary. So we're trying to set things up in such a way that we can protect both. We want veterinarians to be able to exercise their judgment. The current legislation does not allow them to do that because it says specifically, because you've received that information through electronic means, you don't have the capacity to judge.
Yeah.
That's what the VCPR
and isn't that what being a professional and a doctor is really all about at the end of the day, right? So putting it back to them to make that independent judgment and allowing them to use those tools to not only help them, but to help more patients.
And to take away that fear on their part. And be able to say, we trust you.
Yeah,
we trust you as a veterinarian. You've got the education. We trust you to make the choice.
Now let's see who's on the video show Soapbox. So let's switch from a high-tech future to a low-tech but essential resource, key to the success of any organisation, including veterinary practices, large or small, and irrespective of the specific business model they may operate. What am I talking about? I'm talking about leadership. Is it a skill we're born with, or can anyone learn to be an effective leader? This year, the RCVS has launched a new initiative, the Veterinary Leadership Programme. Here's a clip in which the RCVS Vice President Amanda Bragg introduces the scheme.
All veterinary professionals are leaders, whether we realise it or not, and we all face leadership challenges on a daily basis. For each and every one of us, learning and practising leadership skills enables us to thrive in the uncertain and complex environment of everyday life in practice, and to take control of our own futures. For the professions as a whole, the development of leadership skills at all stages will help us to achieve the Vet Futures and VN Futures vision for 2030. The development of everyday leadership skills is also an important part of every veterinary professional's CPD. So to encourage and support this, the RCVS is launching the Edward Jenner Veterinary Leadership Programme. Designed in conjunction with the NHS Leadership Academy, which has already seen over 55,000 people engage with the programme, this new version builds on shared challenges from the healthcare professions and develops them for the veterinary world. The free-to-access online programme is split into 3 courses, which you can work through at your own pace. In the first course, over 2 to 4 weeks, you will learn about the concept of leadership and its importance in a veterinary setting, along with the art of good leadership and decision making. Over 4 to 6 weeks, the second course will help you understand more about yourself and how to be a more confident and effective leader, as well as how to develop an inclusive leadership culture in your workplace. Finally, in the third course, we'll ask you to take about 4 weeks to reflect on your learning and tell us how you're applying it in your professional life. Accompanying the course is an audio drama featuring veterinary professionals living in the fictional county of Glenvern. You'll hear their stories unfold and learn from and reflect on the issues and challenges they encounter in their day-to-day lives. Leadership starts with you, so visit our website to find the first episode of the audio drama, tell us what you think of this taster programme, and sign up to test the full pilot of the programme later this year.
Now for a tip from the top in the business world of veterinary practice. Marketing has been defined as the business of promoting and selling products or services. The definition I prefer, however, is much wider than that and encompasses anything to do with understanding the market in which the business operates and the individuals within that market who already are or who have the potential to be customers or clients of the business under discussion. Peter Weinstein, a good friend of mine, owner of Paul Consulting in the United States and executive director of the Southern Californian Veterinary Medical Association, believes that satisfying client expectations is simply not good enough and the business objective must be to exceed them. Here's how.
To exceed a client's expectations, you almost have to define what the expectations are for your clients, and they may be different depending upon your different practice models. But in my opinion, exceeding client expectations starts with world-class client service. Clients can't tell the difference in the way you practice medicine from the guy down the street. They know a spay is a spay and an itchy dog is going to get something for itchy skin. But they can tell a difference in the way that they have a client and patient experience, the way the phone is answered, the way a client is greeted, the way a transaction is handled, the way a pet is handled, and the waiting time. Things like that are the true differentiators in making a client experience, and that is what clients are looking for. So if you wanted to just focus on one thing in terms of making clients happy and differentiating yourselves within the community, create a world-class client experience. Create a Nordstrom's-like client experience, and I think that will be a differentiator within your practice and within your community.
Now for my quick business tip for this episode. Last month I spent a couple of days at the BSAVA Congress in Birmingham. My particular interest, of course, is anything to do with the business of practice, and I had an opportunity to sit in at a number of really excellent sessions. I'm guaranteed to learn something new every time. And over the years my habit has been to use a pencil to scribble notes on a pad, which I then review and transcribe onto my laptop as soon as I can. A number of other members of the audience, however, simply keyed notes straight onto a tablet or a laptop, and I wondered if it would make sense for me to do the same. Dan Pink doesn't think so. Here's a clip in which he explains why.
Hi everyone, welcome to another Pinkcast. You know, I'm a chronic note taker. I take notes all the time, wherever I am. And I've often wondered, should I be taking notes using my trusty laptop computer, or should I instead be taking notes the old-fashioned way, with a pencil and paper? Well, I now have the answer. It comes from the science, and it's super clear, and the answer is this. Where possible, take notes by hand, the old-fashioned way. Why? When we take notes using a laptop computer, our tendency is to transcribe, to take down verbatim what people are saying. But when we use this kind of technology, we can't write as fast as most people can talk, so we can't transcribe. What do we do instead? Here's the key. We summarize, we synthesize, we recap, we put things into our own words, and that's the magic. So, when scholars have looked at this battle between laptop note-taking and old-fashioned note-taking wins. It makes it easier for people to retrieve the information immediately after an encounter, and this is pretty interesting, when people go back to their notes 2 weeks later, pencil and paper notes are better because you've done a better job of synthesizing and summarizing the main ideas. So, if you are a note taker, as am I, put aside that laptop, sharpen that pencil, and you'll be good to go.
So what's my quick business tip? Well, it's this. I suppose it really doesn't matter how you record the tips, ideas, suggestions and thoughts which you glean as a delegate watching and listening to a good speaker. What is important is that you note them down for future reference and then do something tangible with them before you forget. Well, that's about it now. I'm John Sheridan, and this has been another video show from Veterinary Business. See you next time.